To help stop the spread of COVID-19, distilleries around the country have been addressing the hand sanitizer shortage by switching operations from drinkable alcohol to producing the ethanol needed to make more hand sanitizer. There is so much science that goes into the production of ethanol and so many lessons to be learned and gained from it. We can talk about the raw materials necessary, the states that produce it, geography and statistics. We can talk about the biology and the process of fermentation. We can talk about the chemistry of the byproducts of fermentation and how they interact, and then the engineering and building of a still and how it works. And that is where we're going to focus today, on distillery science and what is going on inside a still. In order to understand the process of distillation, I'm going to take you through from fermentation to collection of the final distillate so you can understand how it all works. I'm going to draw this in stages. We're going to start out, here is our stage where we're going to ferment. Then let's have a stage where we're going to boil, and we'll draw our still pot here. This has a neck that comes out, and that's where it's going to go into a bucket of very cold water, and it's going to condense the vapor, and then we'll have our collection jar down here. Now, if you're manufacturing this at scale, you might have this still going into one still, into another still, to do it in stages. This stage here, again, is the fermentation. This is going to be our boil. This is our condense. And then we're going to collect. Into the fermentation, we are going to have yeast and a source of sugar. This could be a 10-pound bag of sugar, corn, rice, wheat that you could grind up and then boil together to make a mash and add your yeast, and you would undergo and let's say for here we're going to add this, for our demonstration, 4.5 gallons, and in about, if we're lucky, 2 to 3 weeks, under the right conditions, you'll end up with something probably something closer to 10% alcohol. We'll then drain all of that out, try and separate the solids, and we will put it into our still. We'll add some heat and we will boil. And what's going to happen is when we get a vapor in here, it's going to be enriched. It's going to be a higher concentration of alcohol than in the liquid. And then it will run through the condenser and will drip out into our collection. Now, when it's all said and done, we'll probably have somewhere around 3 to 3.5 gallons left, and in here we'll have 1 to 1.5 gallons. Now, one stage of distillation, you probably aren't going to have something even close to high enough concentration for making hand sanitizer. You would have to go through multiple stages with the basic pot still. Now, I know someone has said to themselves, I'm going to address this shortage of hand sanitizer by going and making my own. I'm going to buy all the raw ingredients. I'm going to make my own still. I'm going to distill it. I'm here to tell you that is just simply a bad idea. It's going to take you a lot longer than you think. You're not going to get nearly as much as you think. And the quality of it, unless you have the right tools and you can accurately measure it, you may actually be creating a product that's going to not be effective, and you're just wasting your time, energy, and money. Go buy a bottle of Everclear if you really want some hand sanitizer, or use a vanilla or lemon extract, because that's about 87.5% alcohol. You can make hand sanitizer out of that, and it'll probably smell nice too. In reality, it'll take you 2 pounds of sugar to make 12 ounces of pure ethanol, and you won't be able to extract it all, and we'll cover that in a little bit. Most people brew it in 5-gallon batches, and if you were to produce a 5-gallon batch, and extract it all. That is 4 of these bottles, or about 2 liters of ethanol that you would get out of it. Now that's pure, and you cannot get to pure through distillation. Let's look at the science behind it, shall we? This is called a liquid-vapor equilibrium diagram, and it shows the relationship between the concentration of alcohol in the liquid phase and when you boil it, the resulting concentration in the vapor phase. Now it follows along this curve up to 95% where it forms an azeotrope. That's a whole separate chemistry discussion. We won't go into that now. But remember I said that distilleries might triple distill. These lines in here represent what would be called theoretical stages if you were designing a distillation column, and a batch still is really a single stage. So if you were to have a feed that would come in at 5% and you were to boil it, and you get something around 42%, you'd condense, boil, and you'd try and get something around 85% purity. That's theoretical. In real life, things are a lot more messy. In a batch distillation pot, if you started out at 10% and you were to get something around 60% of the vapor, but as you're boiling off the alcohol, the concentration in your pot's getting lower, so you end up with this average over time. Now you can get reflux, and you might be able to boost the concentration a little bit, but that's why I say it would be highly unlikely in a single pass through a batch still to get something that would pass for hand sanitizer. You'd have to run it through again to get something higher that you need, because remember, you need something at least 60%, ideally 70%, in that range. That was so much fun talking about the science of distillation, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about how a still works and operates to produce the ethanol needed for hand sanitizer. Please let me know what you liked or didn't like in the comments. I look forward to your feedback. Be well and stay safe out there.